It's Swain Event time!
My man.
It is time for the Swain Event, fueled by Dead End Barbecue. This is real sports talk for the real sports fan. Talk to him, Swain.
Give me 2 shots and a Ric Flair.
SwainEvent.com, fueled by Dead End Barbecue, top 100 barbecue restaurant in America. Spring is here. Kinda. March the 3rd, 2026. Jason Swain here with you, live from the Low T Center studio. Glad to be with you on a beautiful Tuesday. Ben McKee, go Vols 2 for 7. Benjamin. Good morning, sir. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Jason. How are you?
The sun came up a little earlier. The temperature's a little bit warmer. I'm good, my man. I would like to win a couple basketball games. A baseball team went out there and came back with a net positive, a winning record over the weekend. I just like to beat Alabama. I think that would be great. I don't think that's too much to ask. Can we just beat Alabama? That didn't happen, but I'm not going to let that ruin opportunity to do the show with you, my man. I will say this too. Thursday, I apologize for us not being able to do the show. I had the flu, and I had zero voice Thursday morning. All day, all morning, I spent trying to get my voice in a place to even do the 12 o'clock show, which didn't sound great. But I'm good now. I'm back. We back. It's good to be back. So, Benjamin, how was your trip?
The real is back. The Villa is back. Shout out to my guy, C-Mac. My trip was good. It's always cool for me to be in a big league stadium and cover some baseball. And not only did I watch Tennessee play, but was able to check out UCLA and Mississippi State and Texas A&M. And I think here early on in the season, Mississippi State and A&M, along with UCLA, I think they're 3 of the better teams in the country. So it was some really good baseball in Arlington this weekend. Arizona State has a nice lineup as well. So it was a good trip. Plenty of work. My parents made the trip over as well. They went 2 years ago and really enjoyed themselves. So they came back over this time around, and we went to a spot called Goldie's Barbecue, which is one of the popular places there in the Dallas, Arlington, Fort Worth area. And it was phenomenal. I sent Swain a video, and I thought he was losing his mind when I sent him the video of them slicing up the brisket and the other meat. And it tasted just as good as it looked. It was some of the best barbecue I've had. It was phenomenal.
Whatever.
So
I'm going Dead End Barbecue. I'm going Dead End.
Yeah. Well, now that I'm back in Knoxville, I will go to Dead End. But unfortunately, Dead End, last time I checked, does not have a location in Texas. So I had to, barbecue's my favorite food, just like it is yours. So I always got to find the barbecue when I go on these trips. And that it was one of those places where it opens at 11, but you got to get in line before it opens. Yeah. So my parents got there at like 8 o'clock. And I met them over there, and it was some good eating. So that was my point. That was my one thing that I did outside of baseball. The rest of the weekend, it was all baseball. It was keeping up with basketball. Frustrating loss for the basketball team. I'm not too worried about it in the grand scheme of things because I think if Nate Ament does not get hurt, I think they win that game. I think if the referees were not atrocious in the second half, Tennessee wins that basketball game. I've got a fun fact for you. You want to hear my fun fact? I can come by this honest because I'm not a blame the referee guy. So when I do blame the referee guy, the referee really messed up.
I like facts. Bring the facts.
Don Daly. He called the game.
Oh, yeah.
He reffed the game.
Yeah, it's good. That's a good fact right here.
Oh, you've heard it?
Undisputable facts. Yeah, go ahead.
You've heard this?
Yeah, but I want to hear it again.
Did you and Josh talk about it yesterday? Is this where you heard it, or did you hear it elsewhere?
We talked about it a little bit yesterday.
Okay, I didn't know if it had gotten out there yet, but
Well, you didn't know because you didn't listen to the show, butthead.
No,
go ahead.
No, because I was at Tennessee basketball practice watching Nate Ament. Did y'all get y'all's phone fixed?
Oh, I don't know.
Because I've had several phone calls since then that have worked perfectly fine. I even did a radio interview with a different station in Knoxville who actually prioritizes me more than y'all do, but that's a separate conversation for off the air. And my call worked perfectly fine for 20, 25 minutes. So
I think it's fine.
But I'm just picking at you. But Don Daly, reffing the game on Saturday. You have to forgive me. I'm tired, which I go on my tangents when I'm tired, so forgive me. But Don Daly reffing the game on Saturday. He called 6 fouls in the second half. 5 of them were ruled incorrect by the SEC after the game. The SEC went back and looked at the fouls that were called. He called 6 of them in the second half. 5 of them were deemed by the SEC, not Tennessee, not Tennessee fans on Twitter. The SEC head of officials went back and reviewed the foul calls and deemed them the incorrect call. And those 5 incorrect foul calls led to 11 points for Alabama and a 2-point loss for Tennessee, in which Nate Ament only played 11 minutes and only scored 2 points. So it was frustrating. It was ugly. These leads, they can't continue to evaporate. You got to make your bunnies around the rim. I'm not trying to give them a complete pass, but just more so in terms of like the freak out mode. Everybody was freaking out. And I think most of the freak out came because it was a loss to Alabama. Yeah. Like, it doesn't matter how it looks. Losing to Alabama is always going to tick people off. So I think that's where a lot of the outrage came from. Yeah. But I just did not view Saturday as the same as some of the other blown leads that we've seen. I think right now you just want to make sure you get Nate Ament back healthy, and that's your primary focus heading into the final week of the regular season.
Yeah, that's why I was not happy, because we lost to Alabama. I'm not freaking out, but losing to Alabama, it sucks. And you look at how we continue to give up leads. I mean, that's problematic. That means you're not playing a full 40 minutes with the level of focus that you need to play with, and that's going to get your butt sent home here in a couple weeks if you're not careful. So yesterday, we didn't talk about that. We just talked about the games that Tennessee lost this season with him officiating, which that's probably another conversation.
I don't anticipate Don Daly reffing another Tennessee game this season. I would be surprised if we see Don Daly ref another Tennessee game this season.
I wonder where he went to school.
Has that come out?
I'm not sure. That's why I say I wonder. I wonder where he went to school. So,
and again, that does not excuse the bunnies that continue to be missed around the rim. You can't have, as Justin Gainey, Tennessee's associate head coach, told the media on Monday, you can't have 25 offensive rebounds and only 25 points to show for it. You've got to have more. Now, I think the frustrating part is the rebounding has been such a great advantage for Tennessee this season. I mean, they're on pace to be one of the best offensive rebounding teams in the last X amount of years, in several years.
You want to know what's crazy?
What?
Tennessee is so great at offensive rebounding, and the number 1 offensive rebounder in the country is a former Tennessee player in Toby Awaka. Ain't that crazy? As a team, crazy. Tennessee's the best. As an individual, Toby Awaka is the best.
Yes. And unfortunately, they haven't even really been able to use it to the advantage that they need. They've won a lot of games off of it.
No,
but
right.
Because they've missed so many bunnies off of the offensive rebounds, that it hasn't. I mean, this would be what's Tennessee's record going into tonight's game? I don't have it in front of me. I'm trying to keep up with life. Life is getting me. They're 20-9. How many What would their record be had they taken advantage of the offensive glass the way that they've rebounded in those games? They've won in Lexington.
24-5.
They would have won. They would have beat Alabama. They probably would have beat Missouri.
24-5. Minimum.
Yeah, minimum. So, and the point that I was getting to is like the problem with that is I don't see how you fix that. I think that's just who they are. I think they've guys that. Well, I say guys. I think JP Estrella and Dwayne Brown have nice touch around the rim. I think JP had an off night the other night.
Ben. It's like we close our eyes when we're about to we were trying to shoot a shot inside the paint.
I think
the ball might have slipped. JP airballed a 2-foot shot.
Yeah, it was bad. But JP's better. We know JP's better than that.
Yeah, there's a lot of plays.
JP has great touch around the rim.
There's a lot of plays that a lot of guys made that we can say, oh man, they're better than that. But the fact that it happens and it happened and it continues to happen, missing shots around the rim, it's why the rebounding margin of plus 17 that Tennessee had over Alabama doesn't matter. 25 offensive rebounds, it doesn't matter if you're shooting 20%, 30% from 30% from twos, 20% from three, and you don't make a three in the second half. Like, it doesn't matter that you're getting all these rebounds. At the end of the day, basketball is a make or miss game. The object from the great Dr. James Naismith was to put the ball in the basket. And if you don't do that, you don't get points.
Yes, but my point that I was going to make is that, yes, JP had a bad night on Saturday. He could have made more shots around the rim. We've seen JP typically make those shots throughout the course of the season. Like, I think for him individually, that was more of an off night. We have not seen him airball jump hooks prior to Saturday night. Like that was not what we typically see from JP. And he's also coming back from the left foot soreness. Like, if I'm being soft for giving him grace, then so be it. The point that I was getting to is JP Estrella's field goal percentage is 60%. Felix Akpar's field goal percentage, 58%. Dwayne Brown's field goal percentage, 60%. Jalen Carey's field goal percentage, 47%. 47%, while his other three teammates are around 60%. I think the main culprit, he's the main culprit, is the point that I was getting to, is like, yes, JP could be better, Dwayne Brown could be better, Felix could be better, but Jalen, who leads the team in offensive rebounding, he has 86 offensive rebounds this season. That's 20 more than the next highest, which is JP. JP shooting 60% while grabbing the second most offensive rebounds. Jalen Carey shooting 47% while grabbing the most offensive rebounds by 20.
He's the worst around the rim, but all of them were bad against Alabama, and all of them need to improve.
Right. I was talking, but in terms of like projecting them and like how can it get fixed? Well, Jalen Carey's got to find a way to make more shots around the rim, and I'll give him credit. You know, we kind of went in on him, if you want to put it that way, a couple of weeks ago about kind of how he's fighting Rick about Rick's style of play and adjusting to his style of play. I've seen Jalen stay after practice and get more extra work in after practice the last couple of weeks than I have all season. He was the last one off the floor prior to the Missouri game. He was the last one off the floor after practice yesterday. He and Rick were working on his form after practice for a good 10 to 15 minutes after everybody had left, and they're obviously traveling to South Carolina tonight, so they left after practice yesterday, and the whole team had gone back to the locker room, gathering their things, and Rick and Jalen were still out there working on his form, from the SEC logo in the paint, from the free throw line, from kind of the block, working on different moves and how he can be better around the rim. So I if I'm being honest, like I kind of feel like that's who Jalen is. He's a bully. He's going to get you offensive rebounds. I don't believe he possesses the finesse or the touch around the rim to really pay it off, But hopefully, with what they are working on with him, that can eventually change. And if that does change, I mean, that could be the difference in Tennessee making another Elite Eight run and getting bounced in the second round again. Because right now, I mean, they're flirting with a 5 or 6 seed, and either way, you're probably going to be playing a 3 or a 4 in the second round, and Tennessee will be the underdog in that game. And in that game, if Jalen can make those shots around the rim again, it could be the difference in making it to the second weekend or not.
Jalen has to shoot better in the paint. He's the worst, but all of them got to be better in the paint and make shots. And Jalen wasn't like this when he was at Vanderbilt. Like, he wasn't. I mean, so if Tennessee is going to go further than the second round, then you got to put the ball in the basket more efficiently around the paint. I mean, it's that simple.
He shot 48% last year, so it was about the same.
About the same?
Goal percentage-wise.
Well.
Slightly better.
He missing the same type of bunnies?
I don't know. I'd have to go back and watch. All I know is his field goal percentage.
He didn't miss them against us.
He did not miss him against Tennessee.
He wasn't missing them against us, man. That's all I'm saying.
No, he didn't, which is why Tennessee went and got him. But his field goal percentage, which was 1 point different than it is this year, would indicate that he did miss bunnies last year.
Yeah. I don't want to make it all about him because I think the front line misses too many bunnies. And, you know, again, I'm a JP fan, but several times he had the ball and the ball got ripped away from him. Like, that can't happen either.
No doubt.
And so
I'm talking more big picture.
Yeah. It's well, that's big picture too. This is the same. We're talking about the same stuff, and I know Rick Barnes is tired of talking about the same stuff in at the end of February. And so, at some point, it's not about talking about it and going over it and previewing it and seeing it on film. At some point, you gotta do it. You either doing it or you're not. You're doing it, or you let somebody else do it to you. At the end of the day, it comes down to that. Like, we can't keep going over this over and over and over and over and over. Do you understand? Yeah, I understand. You see your mistake. Yeah, I see my mistake. All right, do it better next time. Yes, sir. And then you don't do it. You got to just do it at the end of the day. I didn't even start the show with basketball in mind, my man. I didn't even start the show with basketball in mind. I started the show with my man Josh Heupel in mind. Joshua Kenneth Heupel. I had him in mind this morning, Ben McKee. You want to know why? Because I think Josh Heupel is being treated unfairly. I think he's being treated unfairly. Chris Lowe, our guy, is doing a tour where he's talking to all the SEC coaches. Doing a tour. And for those who don't know this, Chris Lowe lives in Knoxville. So it would be easy for Josh Heupel to be the first one.
Whoa. He lives in Farragut.
That's right, my bad. Farragut. He lives in Farragut. But it would be easy for Josh Heupel to be the first one on this tour since Chris Lowe lives here, down the road from the University of Tennessee. During the conversation, Heupel was asked his preference on the college football teams and the amount of participants. It is currently at 12. There's been talk about it going to 16 and 18. 24 teams, that's a number because that's what the Big Ten wants to be in place. The SEC did not want that. Well, this is why it's important to have context. It's important to have information. We live in a day and age where people yell more, talk more, blame more, and read and gain context less. Josh Heupel last year coached a team that underachieved. He would say that. We all would say that. The standard is the standard. Tennessee didn't reach the standard last year. The appearance of Josh Heupel making this comment about the college football playoff needing to go 24 teams, the optics look bad because he didn't make it. So it makes it seem like, oh, he wants to expand it so he can get in. But that's not why he said what he said. There are many coaches around the SEC that believe that the playoffs should be expanded more than 12 teams. Why? Because now we have went to a 9-game conference schedule. It's harder, and you still only have one bye week. So 9-game conference schedule, which we didn't have to do. But the Big Ten was playing 9 games. We thought that if we go to 9 games, then the college football playoff could be expanded to 16 or 18. The Big Ten pretty much tricked us. They pulled one over on us, a fast one over on the SEC, because they said, hey, if we're not going to a 24, we don't want to change it from 12. The Big Ten has won the last 3 national championships. Josh Heupel was the first coach on record with Chris Lowe to say, yes, the playoffs should be expanded. I think we all can agree that if you're playing a 9-game conference schedule, a 1-game increase from last year, and you're going from a 12-team playoff, it's probably best to expand the playoff to at least 16 or 18. I don't know if I agree with Josh Heupel that it needs to be 24, but I don't care if it's 24, because that means more college football for longer. And who's going to argue with more college football for longer? Go ahead and try that if you want to. But does it need to be 24 to find out who the best team in the country is? No. You can do that at 16. You can do it at 18. But the only disagreement I would have with Josh Heupel is, hey, man, 24 is too much. But the criticism that Josh Heupel has gotten is unfair, because the playoffs should be expanded if the SEC is going to a 9-game conference schedule. We understand what it's like to play in this conference week in and week out. You take a freaking bloodbath. Take a bloodbath. It's tough to go through the gauntlet from top to bottom. So, Ben McKee, I know you saw Josh Heupel's comments. You're a media dude. You know how it is when people take that one little sentence and they blow it up and make it something, and it's bigger than that, and it has context that's missing. There's nothing wrong for Josh Heupel, in my opinion, to say, yes, the playoffs should be expanded. But folks out here, without looking at all the information, without using the entire brain, just want to jump and try to criticize Heupel. And listen, I've been the one that's held Heupel accountable for what happened last season and what has to happen in terms of changes inside of his program. And he's made a lot of them. But he don't deserve this criticism.
No, it's just the low-hanging fruit that social media loves to grab, and people love to get their jokes off. I mean, I'll raise my hand and say the moment I saw those comments, I said, of course Josh Heupel wants a 2014 playoff, right? But that was more so just me having fun and joking around. But for those that are being serious about it, I think it's just low-hanging fruit. I don't think that Heupel's campaigning because he is shying away from the difficulties of making an 18 playoff, 12-team playoff, whatever a lower number might be. Of course, having a 24-team playoff certainly increases your chances. But even with a 24-team playoff, you're still not getting in this year. So it's not like he was Vanderbilt or Texas and was on the outside looking in. on selection day and with an expanded playoff he would have been in, he still would have been left out. He still would have been going to the Music City Bowl if the playoffs were expanded. So I agree. Like the other conferences will argue against it because they hate people talking up the SEC and how difficult the SEC schedule is. But I do think that with the SEC going to 9 games, there should be a little bit of leeway. And it's the same discussion that we had about Indiana prior to Indiana winning the national championship the year before when they first made the playoffs and lost to Notre Dame in South Bend. Is Indiana, what were they? Were they undefeated going into the playoffs that year or had lost one game, maybe lost to Ohio State?
They lost to Ohio State.
Their 11-1 record, if that's what it was, is not the same as 11-1 in the SEC. It's not even the same as 10-2 in the SEC. Now, the Big Ten is one of the better conferences in college football, and they've won the last several national championships, right? So I'm not going to disparage. They won the last 3, so I'm not going to disparage the Big Ten as a football conference. But that year, Indiana dodged all the big time players in that conference, and they didn't play anybody out of the non-conference. So when your strength of schedule is that poor, we've got to find a way to evaluate the resumes when somebody's strength of schedule is so drastically different than an SEC team. And I know that this technically isn't evaluating the resumes, but I think that's a way that you can maybe compensate when you are judging at the end of the year teams that your James Madisons, your group of fives that don't have to go through the gauntlet that these Power 4 conferences have to go through. That's a way that I think it can kind of make up for it a little bit. And hey, it also gets the James Madisons of the world back in the playoffs too. So I don't want to see 24. I agree with you. I'd like to see the playoffs expanded to 16 or 18, whatever that number is.
Yeah, but 24
whatever that number would be best. But 24 is way too much. We don't need a 24 team playoff. The teams from 18 to 25 don't deserve to be in the playoffs. So I'd like to see them expand it, but not by that much. But I think Heupel's on the point, on the money here. It's the SEC. They're playing 9 SEC games. That's a really, really tough gauntlet, and they should be able to be given a little more leeway to still make the playoffs while running that gauntlet. It's not Josh Heupel shying away from expectations. Josh Heupel from the jump this offseason has not shied away about how last year was not good enough and the championship expectation at Tennessee. He said all the right things in that regard, and I don't at all think he's being soft here with his comments about expanding the playoffs.
Here's what's unfortunate, Ben. All the great qualities that Josh Heupel has when it comes to, at the end of the day, man, and we've done this show a long time, and I said, if you are a good person who can coach, you can be successful at Tennessee. How many times have I said that? Just be a good person who can coach. And this was off the heels of Butch Jones stuff because he did a lot of things during his tenure that would point to him not being a good person. And people saw that, and that's why the culture crumbled the way it did. But Josh Heupel's an awesome person, good dude. The one thing I wish he would do differently is not give us Butchisms. Not the sayings, but just the coach speak stuff.
You think he is?
He doesn't say anything, Josh. I mean, Ben, you know that.
I see.
He doesn't talk.
He's not saying the bad things that Butch said, but it's just coach speak all the time.
He just gives a coach speak all the time.
There's no personality.
Over and over. I wish he would just be himself more, because you don't have the success that you're having at Tennessee unless you have an ability to connect with people and communicate. And you hear Colton Hood talking about you at the combine. I wish people saw more of that from Josh Heupel in press conferences, but he doesn't give people stuff. And this has been his approach for years. So I'm not asking him to change. I just wish he was a little bit different there and better.
It's not even an approach. That's just who he is. I mean, that's kind of who he is behind the scenes. Like, he's a good dude. And
he ain't coach speaking, man, on these recruiting
no,
trips.
he's not coach speaking, but I'm talking about in terms of like showing personality. Even behind the scenes, he does not show a ton of personality. Like it takes him a minute to open up to somebody. From what I've heard from talking to people who know him better than I do and have been around him, it's not coach speak at all.
Well,
but
that's
like,
me too. I gotta trust you first before I open up. But like,
yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just he doesn't have some grand personality, or I don't mean to put it that way. That sounds like he just doesn't have a personality at all. But it's just he's not just outgoing, tremendously outgoing from the moment he meets you.
But and like I don't want to get away from my point. Like, I wish he was better with a microphone because I know he could be, but gets caught up in not saying anything. That's what I'm saying. The one time you get him and he's having a real conversation and he's giving you what he thinks, his real opinion, now folks are taking it and running with it and treating his comments unfairly. So when you think the next time he's going to have one of these sit-downs with Chris Lowe and he's going to be open and honest about what he really thinks? Good luck. Good luck getting the next quote from him because he probably won't say anything until the football season starts or the Big Orange Caravan.
Unfortunately, he could come out and say that the sun is shining on a sunny day and people are going to argue with him because they're upset with how this past football season went. Like that's part of it.
That's true. He got to go win.
I mean, Josh Elander, kind of he's not old fiery Tony Vitello in the dugout. So the moment they lose a series to Kent State and turn around and lose to UCLA, everybody's complaining about Josh Elander and how he's not the right guy because he doesn't have the same fire and passion in the dugout that Tony has. So when you're not winning, people abandon you, quite frankly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And you can't say anything right. If you're not winning to the level people expect you to, you can't say anything right.
That's true. Well, hopefully our next caller can say something right. 865-255-03, the Guards of Law hotline. Our first caller. Good morning.
Hey, guys. How you doing, guys?
What's up, Turkey Man?
Hey, I hope I can say something right. I hope so. I was going to, you guys kind of been all over this topic this morning. Playoffs. What did the SEC receive by benefit them? What did they receive from going from 8
Nothing.
to 9?
Nothing.
Okay.
They didn't benefit anything. I guess you can get a new TV deal, but they got swindled by the Big Ten is what happened.
And if I understand right, Big Ten has 50% of the say. I don't know how that happened. And the rest of the league has the other 50. I don't know how it's made up, but I understand that. And I don't know how that happened.
Greg Sankey and Big Ten's AD, they're the ones that are making a decision on the college football playoff. Because the Big Ten and the SEC are the two most powerful conferences in the land. So that's why people will...
Okay.
Go ahead, Terry.
I was just one. I'm understanding that the other representatives of the Power 5 or 4 or whatever it is now, conferences makes up all the say, and the Big Ten, whatever they say, 50%, because they're never, it's not laid up where you do so correctly, and apparently we're on the SEC's on the back shelf as far as being able to make a decision. Apparently, if I'm understanding, that's the reason I'm asking you guys a question. That's the reason I'm understanding.
Yeah, Turkey Band, the SEC and the Big Ten make the decision on the playoff.
50-50.
Yeah, they make the decision on the playoff. Those two.
So there's no tiebreaker or nothing.
Those two. Hey.
Yeah. That don't make sense to me. I just don't. I mean, how that we didn't get nothing out of it, and we talk about being in the playoffs, but apparently, if you lose two games, you're in danger of getting in. If you lose 3 games, you're out, and that and I just don't understand the whole makeup of it. It don't sound like it makes me want to go back to the way it used to be. The computer picked it and had 4 and down to 2, but it just don't sound right. I don't know. It's confusing to me, but I ain't said nothing right, I guess, this morning. But anyhow, I just confused about those situations. One thing I think we're missing in the whole gamut of things, the ladies softball is doing something right. I don't know what's going on.
They're winning.
I don't know what's going on. Well, it sounds like a pitching. Sound like I've watched a little bit. Their pitching seems to be pretty dominant. The 2 or 3 pitchers they've got. Anyhow, I'll let you guys go, and I'll listen to you, and maybe somebody else will say something about it. That's very confusing.
All right, take it, man. Thank you, man. Appreciate the phone call. Good morning.
What's up, fellas?
What's going on?
How's everybody doing?
What's up?
So, on Josh and Coach speak, I was wanted to touch on that briefly.
Yeah.
Do you ever get Jason with being around as much? Do you ever get him just being himself and letting his hair down and cutting up? And because you can tell it, there's certain things about him. You know that there's a funny dude there, or is he still? Does nobody really see who he is unless like you're like in the locker room, I guess, or on a recruiting visit?
I've been around him on a big recruiting weekend when Faison, Tristan Keys, that group was here.
Yeah.
And, like, he was, I won't say he was different because he wasn't really talking to, well, I just think he was in a different setting. So he wasn't in, like, a competitive pre-game, post-game practice setting. But my thing is, if he has the ability to connect with all these athletes and recruits and has his culture.
Connect with the world the same way.
Yeah, like, he has the opportunity to connect with his fan base the same way. And I just see it as a missed opportunity. It's not a big deal. Like, it's not a deal breaker. It's not something where I'm like, oh, I don't like him. Like, if it was my preference, I would tell him, hey, man, let everybody else see why your players, love you and play for you and why you've been able to flip things around. Like, that's my personal preference. My thing is, he finally sat down and was open and honest about his true opinions of what he thought in the playoffs. And because people are too lazy enough to gain the full context, they want to just throw jokes and make comments when wait till Chris Lowe continues to drop these articles talking to other coaches. There's going to be other coaches who want to see expansion. They may not say 24, but they're going to say 16. They're going to say 18. They're going to say more because these coaches in the SEC understand that it's now harder playing a 9-game conference schedule. And all these people that made fun of Josh Heupel, they won't say anything. Like, when people lie and misrepresent the truth, there's no accountability. People just forget about it. Go, oh, well, he was wrong, and then they just go on about their day. And that's what's going to happen. All these idiots, when they see that all the other coaches agree with Heupel, it may not be 24 teams, but they're going to agree with Heupel. They won't say, "Oh man, I was wrong, my bad." They just go on about their day, and that's what I'm saying. Folks need to be more careful about what they say.
Which is why if I'm Josh Heupel, I'm not opening my mouth if I'm just going to get my head bit off every time I do open my mouth, regardless of what the topic or comment is.
Yep, he's done. So go.
No, you're right, and I wish he would be more himself for all of us. I agree, but I get why he plays things close to the vest too, because there are so many idiots out there that, like you just said, are going to overreact to anything. And the truth is, I mean, it's not fair, but if we would have been in the playoffs this last year, so back-to-back playoff appearances, it wouldn't – I'm sure people would be more in support of. So the idiots that lose their mind over little stuff, they probably wouldn't have, taken off and ran with it. But to hell with the idiots. That's what we got to figure. That's what all got to start saying is the idiots that overreact, we have to start ignoring them. But they're so loud, it's hard to.
Yep.
But he may not be wrong on the 24 thing. I mean, the 12 team is stupid for 4 teams to the 4 best teams don't get to play at home ever. I don't know. 16 seems like it might make sense to do an 8 teams go play away games at 8 home stadiums for the best 8 get home games. I don't know. Maybe the 24 thing's fine too, where you get 9 hosts 24 and 10 hosts 23, and you have 8 hosts the first weekend, and then the 8 teams that advance out of that go play away games at the top 8 teams who had a bye, so everybody gets a home game. Which, by the way, if we're going to do it, any of these things, let's just do all home games until the national championship game. But I'm not saying it's horrible. And we saw last year a team that we all thought shouldn't be in the playoffs because we all thought Notre Dame was probably the more deserving team and the better football team. We saw them like be an eyelash from winning the national championship. So we don't know if team 18 or 19 couldn't possibly be good enough to get to the Final Four national championship game. If let's say a team had a really bad injury for the first 4 weeks of the season and it knocked them out of the playoffs, and then they're healthy week 13 or 14, and they're the 17th best resume, you never know. So, I mean, maybe it's not a terrible idea Coach Heupel is talking about.
No, it's his opinion. I don't think it's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
I just don't think people will agree. But that's okay.
Because it's too much expansion. I get all that.
Like,
it is, but that's simpletons who don't really look in depth, and we shouldn't be listening to those people. That's my point.
Well, I agree with you, but if you are Josh Heupel and you're going to take backlash from even media people, because I've seen media people, national media people, be like, of course, Josh Heupel wants 24. Like, without understanding, hey, man, SEC's at 9 games. And wait till you hear all these other coaches say that they would prefer 16 or 18. The only coach who can sit here and go, I don't care. There's the one coach in the SEC that can say, I don't care. It's Kirby Smart, because he won a championship when there was 4 teams. He's the only one that can say, I don't care. But everybody else, of course you want 16, 18. It's a 9-game conference schedule with 1 bye week. That's insane. That is insane.
It's completely ludicrous. As soon as the Big Ten backed out of the playoff system that Sankey won, Sankey should have got all the coaches back together and all the 80 back together and said, guys, we're going to go back to 8 games. We're going to re-sign the deal.
Yep.
We're going to go back to 8 games. He should have done it immediately. But I'll tell you what, whatever playoff expansion we get or whatever we come up with, let's just get rid of the stupid SEC championship game.
Yeah.
It is pointless. It's a waste. We need to get rid of it. With unbalanced schedules and no divisions, you don't need 2 teams going to play a championship game. Just name a champion or have a shared champion. The champion of the SEC doesn't really matter anyway. What matters is being in the playoffs. Get rid of that stupid thing. Start the playoffs a week earlier, etc. Love y'all.
See you, man. Yeah, the SEC championship game is becoming more and more like it. Like it doesn't matter. Oh, I hate that I said that. Because I think
no, you don't. You've been hating on the SEC championship game for years.
The goal is to win the national championship.
Well, it don't matter what the opinion is. It ain't going anywhere because it's still entertaining when the game does kick off, and it produces a lot of money.
Yep, it's too much money.
And it's entertaining. The games have been good.
Yeah.
So take that for what it's worth. But people biting the head off of Josh Heupel for his comments about the playoffs are just overreacting. Again, he can't say anything right these days because he has not won enough in recent history.
You gotta win, man. You gotta win.
Now, I will say on the flip side of that, it's important to not get caught up on the social media comments. And I feel like those of us who do live on social media, for lack of a better phrase, we see that, so we think that can. We forget that sometimes that's not the collective opinion. There are far more level-headed people than the comments we see on social media. Now, I know, like you said, there were some national media members who were kind of mocking Josh Heupel for it.
That's what I pay attention to. I won't pay attention to nobody else. It's the national guys. It's the national guys.
I'm sure there were Tennessee fans mocking Josh Heupel for it too.
Well, I don't pay attention to them. I was paying attention to the national guys because they should know better.
You would think.
Yeah, they should know better. They should know better. I mean, Turkey Man is not, Turkey Man is your average fan who doesn't understand the dynamics of the playoffs, but the national media people should. And so their comments stood out to me because, bro, you know that it's a 9-game conference schedule. You know that the SEC and the Big Ten is the reason why we are at 12, and they'll be the reason why we expand. And you still trying to get these comments off? Like, shame on you. That's why I pay attention to them more. That's all I'm saying. Beatty Chevrolet text box, BeattyChevrolet.com. Hunsucker, I did not. Expansion needs to happen from QC Rodney, but what can be done to get a consistent criteria for selection of teams? That's a good question. Your record, how you play, who you beat, strength of schedule. I mean, I think this is as best as you're going to get it. And it's not like, because I look at it differently. I know Notre Dame didn't get in, whatever, but a lot of that stuff is their fault. They didn't want to get in the conference, but they should have been in. Every other year, the best teams have won the championship. At the end of the day, that's what matters the most. Did the best team win the championship? And
why should Notre Dame have been in?
Because they were one of the best 12 teams.
But they didn't beat Miami.
I understand, but
and they didn't beat Texas A&M, and they're not in a conference. I agree that they were one of the 12 best teams in the country, but you don't get it in off the eye test. You get it in off your resume.
I get it. I get it.
I didn't mean to derail you. I'm sorry.
I mean, I understand what you're saying. I understand. But the fact that James Madison was in the playoffs and not Notre Dame, still, that won't happen again this year. But still, like, you're supposed to credit folks for playing tough schedules, and then they barely lost by, a couple points, and then they don't get in, and they play in a certain type of way late in the season. So, like, I get it. Yeah, I get it.
Well, my thing is, like, everybody was, Notre Dame should have been in over Alabama. No, Notre Dame should have been in over James Madison.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's I'm with you on that.
Sorry it's a feel-good story, but nobody wants to watch that in the playoffs. Like, we can agree that it's a feel-good story, but we can also agree that nobody wants to watch that. Who was the other team that got in that I'm blanking on? Seems like 10 years ago.
And got their doors blown off?
Yeah. Tulane.
Yeah.
Like, no. Like, John Summerall did a great job. We already saw Tulane play Ole Miss.
Yeah,
we don't need to see that again. Like, that's to me where the selection of teams needs to change. It's not that, like, is Notre Dame better than Alabama? Absolutely. But we can't, until the SEC championship game goes away, we can't punish teams that play in the SEC championship game. We just can't. And then it's not that Notre Dame should have been in over Alabama. That was the big gripe at the time. Should Notre Dame be in over Alabama? Should they be in over Miami? Well, we can't ignore the head-to-head of Miami beating Notre Dame. We can't punish a team for playing in the SEC championship game, in my opinion. So let's get out the Tulanes and the James Madisons and have more competitive college playoff games, which would be better for the sport of college football.
Yeah. 865 255 03. Yeah, I did not see the film room, Mike Keith and Josh Heupel. That was on my to-do list for today, leading up to the midday show. I did not see it.
Shame on you.
Why?
Nobody cares about your excuses. Just work harder, okay?
I know it's wrong, just passing game. I know what it's missing. I know what improvements we made from last year to this year.
What did you think of Chris Brazel's comments at the Combine, comparing the routes that he was running his last year or two at Tennessee compared to the routes that Jalen Hyatt and the early Heupel teams, I say that as if Heupel's been around for a decade, but the first Heupel teams were running. I assume you saw those comments about him saying that they've been running totally different routes the past couple of years, which all it was him speaking the truth and right on the money.
Yeah, more pro concepts. And, yeah, I mean, I saw it. I saw more shallow crosses. I saw more, outs and comebacks and things like that. Like, you have to run what the NFL is running from a route tree standpoint for the most part. You have to show the ability to be able to accelerate, stop, and accelerate and create separation. Like, you have to show that. If you don't show that, then you're putting your receivers at a disadvantage against all the other receivers from other programs. I'm not saying you run the exact same route tree, because everyone runs their curls differently, the comebacks differently, things like that. But if you're only running in a straight line, that's not helping the Tennessee wide receivers. You got to be able to show that you can develop guys and teach guys and help guys improve being able to stop and start. You have to be able to do that. And I don't care how fast Chris Brazel runs or how fast Jalen Hyatt runs or how fast, anyone runs. Dante Thornton, you got to be able to stop and turn, change directions, and accelerate and create separation. If you don't do that, you're going to have trouble at the next level. It's really that simple.
How much money do you think Brazel made himself over the weekend?
I don't know.
I mean, Mel Kiper said it's hard to find receivers with that body type who can run and move as he does. I expect a lot more late round one buzz for him now. So if that's the case and he does sneak into the back end of the first round, he made himself quite a bit of money over the weekend. Although, I mean, I guess he was going to be, a second, third round guy probably going into the Combine, assuming he didn't have a bad week. So, but still, even moving from a second, third round guy to late first round, I mean, that's a pretty significant jump in money as well.
I mean, I don't look at, his measurables aren't the same as Dante Thornton's. Dante Thornton's actually more impressive because he's bigger, and I think he had better numbers. But the game film for Chris Brazel, him doing what he did against Georgia, the game film is going to help him a lot. What Chris Brazel's needs to make sure that he does a good job is in those interviews. And then he's going to have to answer for, getting in trouble, the preseason too. He's going to have to answer for that stuff. And so that is going to, I think, potentially impact him more than, his 40, because he has good film, he has good 40. Can he get on the grease board and explain why he ran this route and why he was open? And they need to understand that how to read a defense.
What you're doing, not just living off of athleticism and size.
Correct.
And that would be the big question mark for him. Like you said, he doesn't have the brightest personality. Isn't the most outgoing is probably the better way to say it. You watch his interviews and you can see that he's not necessarily the most comfortable in those settings.
Yeah. So they're looking for reasons not to draft you. They're looking for, reasons to not pick you over another guy. So when you have a bunch of guys who all ran, fast times, 4.3s and 4.4s, there's a lot of guys who did that. And they all have good film. Now it's going to come down to, okay, what's your understanding of a defense? How do you read a defense? And then they're going to go from there. Now, there's going to be someone who says, "Hey, man, he's 6'5" and can run a 4.2, 4.36." I mean, and coaches are most cockiest. I won't say cockiest, but they have the biggest ego, and so coaches will say, "I can take him, and I can mold him, and I can get this out of him." But there'll be someone who does that with Chris Brazel. The question is, when? Will it be in the second? Will it be in the third? When? We don't know that. But what I will say is Chris Brazel helped himself a ton by how he performed, because he performed in the most stressful setting that you can possibly perform in when you're being evaluated. All those athletes who are competing against you, all those GMs, all those coaches, all those cameras, to be able to do that and perform that way, that says a lot about you. That means you prepared. That means you have some ice coldness in your veins, and you can go out there and perform under pressure. Like, that's what that means. All that stuff factors into the decision on whether or not they're going to draft you or not. So
Tennessee's going to mess around and have 3 first-round picks off an 8-win team.
I don't think Chris Brazel's first-round pick. I'm more on board with the corners going first round now because of how they perform at the combine.
Welcome to the club, my friend.
Yeah, I'm more on board there for sure.
I'd like to see one of them end up in Pittsburgh with my Steelers. I don't think Jermod will be on the board by the time the Steelers pick, but
no,
Colton might. I don't know. I don't know.
Colton
I could see.
Y'all getting Ty Simpson. It's happening. Y'all getting Ty Simpson. All right, let me hit up this text box, the Betty Chevrolet text box. We start from the beginning of the show this morning. Big thanks to Kyle and Smarter for a good morning. Came in Tennessee Vol. I remember Colton Hood's interview on here, thinking how good it was. I bet he knocks it out. NFL draft interviews. We interviewed him on Josh and Swain. I didn't interview him here.
With the important co-host.
You said it.
You said it earlier.
We were talking about Josh Heupel, so that's why I said Josh, not Joshua Wood.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
The stat of the day is 12 for 29 on made layups. I don't matter how bad the rest are, so you can't make buckets close to the rim. That's from Chip Payne. As we were talking about Tennessee basketball earlier.
The refs do matter because they're hacking Tennessee in the process of them going 12 for 29. If the correct call is made, then they go to the free throw line and hopefully make the free throws, and that might be the difference in the game.
Yeah. Don Daly's from Arkansas, went to Arkansas Tech.
According to AI, I believe that message said.
No, in Wilson 90 says that he didn't give AI any credit.
Well, I think somebody else Google AI.
Came to Tennessee Vol said AI says Don Daly from Arkansas. Jackson asked about the film room. Again, I didn't see it. I didn't watch it yet. This is what I know about Josh Heupel's role. He is going to defend his offense. He has been doing that since he's been here. It was a good opportunity for him, a smart decision by him, to do this because NFL draft is coming up. He has a receiver that's going into the draft. Last 2 years, his receivers have not done well at the NFL level early in their career. And the narrative has not been pleasant for the receivers in the passing game in terms of this offense being able to translate. So him getting in the film room and walking folks through it, so to speak, is smart. Because now when you have Mike Matthews and when you have Staley, and Staley had a great year, and these guys have success this upcoming season, which that's what you're planning on happening, you can go against that narrative a little bit. And when Chris Brazzell, you hope that he has success. You can go against that narrative a little bit because that narrative is going to hurt you in recruiting if you allow it to continue without answers. So I thought this was very smart of Josh Heupel doing this. But yeah, I didn't watch it yet. I didn't watch it yet. So I will, and I will report back to you on Thursday. But what I genuinely thought about it. But I think the idea of doing it is smart. And I saw the changes that we've made in our offense. I saw it from the first play of the game, first play of the season. It was a shallow cross to Mike Matthews against Syracuse. First play of the season. I saw it. So, it wasn't a big revelation to me. The SEC title game was a stupid effing idea when we started at 92, and it's absolutely ridiculously moronic now. That's from Neil and Mafia. Turkey Man, should a team be penalized if they lose their starting quarterback? Florida State was a couple years ago, and it depends. You are a different team without your starting quarterback. So,
I think a couple of years ago is also different because that was a 4-team playoff. Mm-hmm. I think now with the expanded playoffs, I don't know that I like the idea of punishing a team that loses their starting quarterback because I don't like the idea of punishing the rest of the team.
Correct.
For that.
Yeah. Like Ohio State won with Cardale Jones, who was a backup. He came in and led them to the championship. So
yeah, you never know what the team's backup quarterback situation is. I mean, if Trinidad Chambliss gets hurt, you're throwing in Austin Simmons in there, who theoretically is a pretty good SEC quarterback. So you just now, if Tennessee's in the playoffs and Joey Aguilar gets hurt, you're throwing in Jake Merklinger.
No, you're not. You're not throwing in Merklinger.
Well, I don't have the way they handled George McIntyre this year. I don't have confidence that they would make the right decision in that moment.
Well,
I'd like to think that they would because it would be a playoff game, but I'm kind of in believe it when I see it mode, and we'll never see it, thankfully.
Well, I did see George McIntyre on Saturday out and about.
How much weight has he gained? Did you ask him?
I ain't talked to him.
Did he look like he had gained weight?
No.
All right. Well, it's only March 3rd. We've got some time, right?
No, he did not look like he gained any weight.
Nice. Well, did he look like he had lost any weight?
He didn't look like he gained any weight, my man.
Oh.
It is March the 3rd. Listen, man.
You know that's going to end up on the message board today.
I mean, I said it yesterday on Sports Animal, but I saw him. He looked skinny, but I'm not buying this whole he ain't gonna play because he's skinny. I'm not buying that.
I'm not buying that either. I'm not buying him making it through the 12 games in the regular season.
Well, yeah.
I agree with you. The whole skinny part's not going to keep him off. Well, it's going to keep him off the field. It's not going to keep him from starting the season if he earns the job, but I'm not buying him making it through the course of the season.
I can tell you this right now, Ben McKee. Last year, if George McIntyre ran the offense better and took better care of the football than Joe Aguilar, he would have been the starting quarterback, skinny or not. So I don't buy that whole way. He got to gain weight to win the job. No, he don't. He got to gain weight and get stronger to last.
Yes. When I talk about gaining weight, I'm talking about him making it through the entire season. I don't think the weight's going to hold him back from winning the job. I think the weight's going to hold him back from being available.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, I'm with you. 865-255-03 is our telephone number. Yes, I'm with you there. But yeah, I saw him out. I don't bother guys unless I'm like like I know I'm tight with him. Like I don't even speak to him. I don't bother him because I'm sure they get that all the time, right? But he was not alone, so I'm not about to bother that dude, man. 865-255-03.
Jason Swain here with you
From the Low T Center Studio, Ben McKee. Swain Event, fueled by Daddy and Barbecue. Stay with us.
You're listening to the Swain Event.
You don't say.
Fueled by Dead End Barbecue.
Want to start testosterone therapy? Don't settle for one-size-fits-all doses from your doctor or pay hundreds out of pocket at a TRT franchise. At Low T Center, you can get insurance-covered TRT customized to your body for maximum effectiveness and safety. Low T Center has served over 500,000 patients since 2009 and continues to lead the industry in TRT. This month, enjoy a free men's T-test and discounted peptides while supplies last. Head to lowtcenter.com and sign up for your free T-test today. That's lowtcenter.com. When you are craving some quality barbecue, there's only one place to go. Dead End Barbecue. Dead End Barbecue has been featured on ESPN's Taste of the Town, the first barbecue restaurant on the SEC Network, CBS Sports, Headline News Tailgate Show, Amazon Prime's The Restaurant Comeback, Food Paradise, and named one of the top 100 barbecue restaurants in America. The search is over. Dead End Barbecue is located on 3621 Sutherland Avenue right here in Knoxville. You can even have it delivered right to your door through Chow Now. Visit their website at deadendbbq.com. Dead End Barbecue. The search is over.
Out-of-town law firms have been swarming into East Tennessee lately. From Memphis, Chattanooga, and Birmingham, they've stormed into the area. Wouldn't you rather do business with a local firm? You know, a true neighbor. Marcos Garza and the pros at the Garza Law Firm are just that. There are neighbors and friends that support local causes year-round. The Garza Law Firm works to serve you professionally on criminal matters, injuries and accident matters, and Social Security and disability filings. The Garza Law Firm is here for you at garzalaw.com. The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
Just because you can't call in doesn't mean that you have to sit on the sideline. Impact the show with a text box. It's part of the free Swain Event app.
What's up, Swain Event crew? Jennifer Morris here with Keller Williams Realty. Fall sports can be a roller coaster ride for us fans. The excitement, drama, and passion will make us crazy sometimes. I can't manage the games, but I can help you manage your real estate needs while you're cheering on the Vols. Reach out at 865-694-5904 or contact me at nextmovesmokymountains.com. That's nextmovesmokymountains.com, and go Vols.
Swain Event, fueled by Daddy and Barbecue, top 100 barbecue restaurant in America. Ben McKee, Go Vols 247. I'm Jason Swain here in the Low T Center studio. Big thanks to Rusty and the Turkey Band for the phone calls. They're on the Garza Law hotline, and the comments here on the Beatty Chevrolet text box. Ben, how does this midweek shake out with 2 games instead of 1? How does the pitching work? Thanks, from Dustin.
Well, Blaine Brown will open today's game against ETSU, which is set for 4 o'clock. Should be a fun one. Always a fun one when ETSU and Tennessee link up. I think it's a sneaky rivalry game for baseball.
Sneaky.
I think it is.
It ain't
I won't.
It's
I was. Yeah, it is. I guess I was being a little shy with my thought there because I didn't know how it would be received. But I do think it's a rivalry game for the baseball team. ETSU has a lot of guys that would love to play at Tennessee, and they always come in with a good bit of aggression and determination and fight. So Tennessee's going to have to make sure that they match that after a quick turnaround from getting back from Texas on Sunday night. Mm-hmm. But pitching wise, I mean, it's a big week for Tennessee. 5 games. It's still a young team, at least at the plate, trying to figure some things out. They've got some young guys on the mound that need to continue to develop. SEC play starts next weekend, which is hard to believe. So it's the final week.
Gracious.
I know, the final week of non-conference play. You play Wright State this weekend. Tennessee obviously very familiar with Wright State. They don't seem to be as good as they were or as good as they have been the last couple of years, but they did beat Georgia during opening weekend. They took one game in Athens. They won the Sunday game. Got the doors blown off the previous two games, but Wright State will at least have some quality players, and ETSU, pretty good program. I don't know that they're the team that they were last year, but still a pretty good ball club coming to town. And then you've got Oakland from Detroit, Michigan, where it's the school where the basketball team knocked off Kentucky a couple of years ago when the white boy just could not miss. I forget his name off the top of my head, but so it's a big week for Tennessee. And pitching, they've got a lot of arms that need to get in on the mound. Again, Blaine Brown will open today, and I would think with how Arvidsson's outing went against UCLA on Friday, him itching to pitch on Sunday, not getting in the game, I would think that maybe he's available today. And then Bo Rudy, who is expected to be one of Tennessee's best bullpen arms, he did not throw over the weekend because he's going to be used in high leverage situations at the end of games, and that did not present itself against UCLA because UCLA started to blow you out. And then Saturday, the way Cameron Appenzeller closed out the game, and then Braden Krenzel on Sunday closed out the game, you didn't need Bo Rudy. So I think the pitching set up pretty good today against ETSU, and then there will be plenty of young arms that they'll like to mix in. And I was talking about Oakland playing them tomorrow at 4:00. Oakland's 1-10. They're really, really bad. So that'll be an opportunity to get a lot of young arms in the game and get them some action.
865-255-03. Tonight, Tennessee basketball against South Carolina. Someone asked on the Beta Chevrolet text box about Nate Amen. It's already been announced that he's not going to play. On Sunday, on the locker room, I was like, you don't play Nate Amen. Like, there's no reason to play him after what happened on Saturday. Number one, you should be able to beat South Carolina without him. Number two, give him enough time to rest so if he can play against Vanderbilt, you need him to beat Vanderbilt. And number three, you need it for the tournament and postseason. And then the most important out of them all is the dude has a future in the NBA. So, like, you want to be careful with him. This is not a Jamal McCoy situation. This is an ankle sprain. But this is not him coming back from, or knee. This is not him coming back from an ACL or anything like that. So you want to be careful with him, but at the same time, if he can play, he can play. But there's no reason for him to play against South Carolina.
No, not at all. The question is whether to play him against Vanderbilt. I would lean towards no as of today. It would take him having a couple of all-time great rehab days and his body just responding super well for me to play him Saturday against Vanderbilt. I would imagine for him, he'll be determined to play on Saturday because it'll be his last game in Thompson Bowling. Not senior day for him, but because he is one and done and is going to be a lottery pick, it'll be his final game in Knoxville. I imagine he'll want to play in that if he can. But even with that being said, they still need to keep the bigger picture in mind and make sure that he is good to go for the NCAA tournament. So I think it would also be fair to ask the question, like, hey, do we even play him in the SEC tournament? I would lean towards yes, assuming that it would not hurt him more to play. I think that I would not want to throw him back in the NCAA tournament. Like, that be his next action. I would want his next action to be the SEC tournament to knock some of the rust off, if there is any, to hopefully help Tennessee take a step forward as a basketball team, playing good, strong basketball going into the NCAA tournament. So that's the question is when do you allow him to play? And a lot of that, I think, will be determined how he responds these next couple of days to treatment. He's dealing with a knee sprain and an ankle sprain, both of them, from my understanding. That was the problem with the injury he suffered on Saturday, is that he had already banged up his ankle in the game prior against Missouri. He had already turned it, and then he got bent back so awkwardly that it re-aggravated the ankle or aggravated it even more. And in the process, you tweaked your knee. So He was never going to practice yesterday, but I took it as a good sign at practice. He came out, he was dressed out, his shoes weren't really tied or anything, right? Like, it was very clear that he wasn't going to practice. But he had a slight limp walking around, but I thought it was a good sign that he didn't have anything on his knee. He didn't have anything on his ankle. I took that as a good sign. If you're not wearing that when you're not going to practice, then I don't think it's too severe. And then he did a lot of stuff off to the side with Garrett Medenwald, the strength coach, and Chad Newman, the trainer, a lot of rehab stuff. So, everybody's automatically assuming, oh, he's not going to play in the NCAA tournament because he's a projected lottery pick and this and that. He's not Darren Peterson. He's not. He if he can play, he will play. He will tough it out and play. I would be absolutely stunned if he pulled a Darren Peterson. That's just not his personality. And not only is it not his personality, I just don't think the injury is that severe. It's something certainly to monitor, and how could you not be concerned about how this is going to impact his play in the NCAA tournament? Because in order for Tennessee to make a run, they need Nate Ament to be Nate Ament, and this certainly puts a damper on those hopes of him playing well in the NCAA tournament.
Good stuff. 865-255-03. Connor from Georgia wants to connect with you, Ben. Tennessee plays Georgia next Friday, and I'll let y'all figure it out.
Just shoot me a message on Twitter if you're on Twitter. If not, let me know in the text box, and we'll find another way of communication.
City Vol says, to borrow a phrase from Angel Reese, I wonder how many of our rebounds are just me bounds that pad the stats. Yeah, I mean, sometimes we get our own rebounds out the misses. But, again, like the Alabama game, you got fouled on some of those. It wasn't called. Also, you got to make them, too. So
they're not missing putbacks on purpose so they can pad the stats and get offensive rebounds.
No, we got to be better. We got to be better there, which look forward to seeing us continue to improve, and that should be the case against South Carolina. It should be. So we'll see what happens. Should beat them without Nate Ament. Michi Johnson averaged 17 points a game. Don't let him go for a career high. In Tennessee, 6 losses this season in SEC play. Every one of them, an opposing guard dropped 20-plus points, 22, 23 points minimum. Both times Kentucky, it was Aberdeen and Olway. Against Arkansas, it was Darius Acuff. Missouri, T.O. Barrett had a career day. Florida, Boogie Flan had his coming out party. Last game, it was Phylon. You can go look it up. We got to be better with our defense against guards. And that's something that we were used to seeing with, Meshack and Ziegler. Those guys were once-in-a-lifetime type of defenders. And so the rebounds is one thing. We're doing a great job there. But making bunnies, defending, when you're not making shots, the one thing you can do is defend. And we didn't do a good enough job of that in our losses in the SEC this year.
And you can't let South Carolina get to the free throw line because they are a really, really good free throw shooting team. They're the best free throw shooting team in the SEC. They're 8th nationally at 78.9% as a team. They have 5 players who have made 40 or more free throws this season, and those 5 players are all shooting around 80% from the free throw line. So as long as Bishop Boswell does his thing against Michi Johnson and Tennessee doesn't get into foul trouble, which leads to South Carolina getting on the free throw line and hanging around longer than they should, and then Michi Johnson gets hot late, as long as that doesn't happen, Tennessee should roll in Columbia tonight. There's not going to be a big crowd on hand. It'll be an awful crowd. It'll be mostly Tennessee fans, if I had to guess. Not only does the basketball team stink and they don't care about the basketball team right now, but it's an early tip, a 6 o'clock tip, which makes it harder for people to get off work and get over to the arena for the game. So, on the flip side of that, not having to deal with a hostile environment, Tennessee's going to have to bring their own energy. They're going to have to bring their own guts. BYOG, bring your own guts, because there's not going to be a lot of energy in the building, and human nature can set in mentally when you see South Carolina's record. You don't see the fans in the stands, so on and so forth. So this is all about Tennessee tonight. Tennessee needs to be locked in and ready to go, and if they are, then they'll handle business. If not, then they'll mess around and have to pull one out late, and you do not want to do that. You do not want to be Auburn. That's what you want to do. That's what I think Tennessee fans can say here on Tuesday, March 3rd. Tennessee basketball fans can say, at least we're not Auburn. You want to talk about some bad losses, buddy?
Yeah, Ole Miss loss was bad.
Well, then who'd they lose the game? This game before was South Carolina, or
no? I think South Carolina played Kentucky last.
Let's see. I got it right here. It was
that's your second team, man.
Oklahoma and Mississippi.
Yeah.
They lost to Oklahoma. They lost to Mississippi State a couple of games ago when Josh Hubbard went crazy. But Auburn has now lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of their last 8. Somehow beat Kentucky in the middle of that. But they've lost 7 of their last 8 and somehow still projected to make the NCAA tournament.
They're on the bubble.
But I do want to say on a serious note, shout out to Stephen Pearl. He had some nice remarks about Wes Rucker in his most recent post-game after Wes passed. And then I believe I saw over the weekend where he donated to Wes's GoFundMe as well. So shout out to Stephen Pearl.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. All right, Ben. Tonight, South Carolina. Tonight, basketball against South Carolina. Today, baseball versus ETSU. Lady softball continuing to do their thing. They're number 1 in the country. Lady ball basketball. It is what it is.
I'm sorry. Did you say something? I'll be honest.
I'm trying not to.
I'll be honest. I told somebody yesterday, I can't wait for Lady Vol basketball season to be over, just to where they're not a talking point anymore. And I hate saying that. I really do. It has nothing to do with the Lady Vol basketball program itself. I just despise this team. This particular team, I despise. And again, I can come by this honest. I grew up watching the Lady Vols, watching Shannon Bobbitt and Candace Parker. Like those were some of my favorite basketball players growing up when I was in middle school around that time. So I appreciate women's basketball and the Lady Vols basketball program, but this team is dreadful to watch. And how do you not get the 5th-year senior Kaya Wynn in on senior day? That is atrocious. That's really bad. That's really bad.
Dude, Kim Mulkey was able to get a curtain call for one of her seniors that couldn't even play because of a medical condition.
Yes. The game was out of hand late. You substitute every 5 seconds to begin with. You tell me in the midst of Vanderbilt being up by double digits with 2 minutes to go, you couldn't get her in the game for 30 seconds? You couldn't find one moment to get her in the game when she's been here for 5 years and dealt with a lot of stuff? That's really, really bad, in my opinion. But I digress. I apologize for my rant.
No, it's okay. Yeah, since that Ole Miss post-game handshake, I've wondered if she gonna make it here. I wondered. I wonder who's gonna come back next season. I wonder what this team's gonna look like next season.
Why would you? There's There's only one player that I would want back, and that's the point guard, Mia Paldo.
Well, sisters are package deal, man.
Well, we can keep her to keep her. Shout out Tennessee softball, though. Shout out Carlin Pickens, one of the greatest college softball pitchers ever.
Swain Event, fueled by Daddy and Barbecue. Peace and much love. We are out.